The air, thick with dust, was filled with panicked, heavy breathing as rock groaned under immense pressure. A desperate whisper cut through the chaos. It's the gold. It's the goddamn gold. It's not rock. It's alive. Sickening crunch followed, and a piercing scream was swallowed by a cataclysmic rockfall. Then, crushing silence. This is the personal log of Elias Thorne. I've lost track of the days. This recording, ... It's a warning. If you're hearing this, turn back now. It started with a map, a piece of faded parchment I bought for a bottle of rotgut whiskey. It promised uncharted caves in the heart of the Nevada desert. My partner, Silas, was the geologist. He saw the story of millennia in a layer of rock. I was the money and the muscle, a man who'd spent 20 years chasing whispers of gold. We were past broke. We were desperate. This was our final play. A tie for 11 days. We ate dust and drank disappointment. The caves from the map were just empty mouths, exhaling hot, dead air. We were down to our last can of beans, our last gallon of gas, the last flicker of hope. Then, on day 12, Silas stopped the truck. He pointed to an anomaly in the strata, a hairline fissure on a canyon wall concealed by a century of rock slides. It wasn't on any map. Every prospector gets the feeling of vibration in the bones when you're close to a big score. As we cleared the rocks from the entrance, it felt like a low-voltage current was running through the ground. We fired up our lanterns and stepped out of the world. The air inside was cold, heavy, and so unnervingly silent that it felt like a presence. The walls, lined with crystals, threw our shadows into grotesque, dancing shapes. We pushed deeper, down a spiraling tunnel that descended into the planet's guts. The silence was perfect. No drips, no skittering life. Just the sound of our boots on grit and the frantic drumming of our own hearts. We must have descended for miles. The tunnel suddenly opened into a cavern so vast it felt like a cathedral carved into the bedrock. And running through its heart was the source of that hum, the answer to our prayers. Silas used technical terms, but what I saw was a miracle. It wasn't a vein, it was a river. A 30-foot wide artery of pure, solid gold, frozen in the stone, flowing up the far wall like a petrified waterfall of unimaginable wealth. This wasn't gold flecked with quartz. This was the genuine article, gleaming with a warm, almost beckoning light. We stood there, breathless, minds short-circuited by the sight. Then Silas let out a raw, triumphant scream that echoed through the chamber. We scrambled to it, running our hands over the impossibly smooth, metallic surface. We'd done it. We were rich beyond measure. The decades of failure and poverty evaporated in an instant. The first hour was a blur of frantic work. The gold was strangely soft, almost pliable, peeling from the rock with a satisfying tear. Our greed was a sickness, a fever. We piled nuggets into a glittering hoard, laughing like madmen, talking of mansions and fast cars as we worked. Silas, ever the scientist, fiddled with his instruments, muttering about impossible purity. I didn't care about the science. I saw my future, and it was shining. It was Silas who noticed it first. I was lost in a daydream of spending my fortune when he cleared his throat. Elias. This is strange. He was tapping the screen of his portable analyzer. The purity is off the charts. It's almost biologically complex. And there's a low-frequency resonance. Can't pin it down. I told him the only resonance I cared about was the sound of gold hitting a scale. I hefted another chunk, but this time it felt ... different, warm. Not from the air, but an internal, living warmth. Pressed my palm against the main vein. The gentle hum we'd felt earlier was stronger here, a slow, steady pulse like a sleeping heartbeat. I pulled my hand back. The surface of the gold, so smooth before, now seemed to have a faint, almost imperceptible texture, like fine scales. Did you feel that? I asked. But Silas was already looking past me, into the darkness at the far end of the cavern. The shadows, he whispered. They're not staying still. The hum intensified, no longer a gentle pulse, but a deep, resonant thrum that vibrated in our teeth. It was joined by a new sound, a dry, chitinous scraping from within the walls, like 1,000 nails dragging on slate. It was all around us. What the hell was that? I yelled, my voice thin, rock shifting. Silas offered, but his face told me he didn't believe it any more than I did. This wasn't random. It was rhythmic, methodical. The scraping grew louder, closer. Then the floor itself began to move. Not a seismic tremor, but a slow, sickening undulation, like the flexing skin of some gargantuan beast. Our pile of gold nuggets clattered and shifted, the sound obscene in the growing tension. My headlamp beam found the great vein of gold again. The surface was no longer smooth. It was textured, glistening, covered in a pattern of overlapping, wet-looking scales. And it was moving. The entire vein was contracting and expanding in a slow, horrifying rhythm. A breath. The gold wasn't a deposit in the rock. The gold was the rock. Or rather, something that was wearing the rock as a shell. From the inky darkness at the vein's base, an appendage of living gold and shadow began to uncurl. The creature hadn't been sleeping. We'd been standing on it. The treasure was the beast. Our picks had been carving into its hide. It was a writhing mass of tendrils, black as void, but threaded with shimmering, molten gold. We hadn't found a treasure. We'd broken into the lair of something ancient and terrible. A golden tendril lashed out, faster than sight, and shattered one of our lanterns, plunging the cavern into a dizzying strobe of light and shadow that broke the spell. We ran. Pure animal panic took over. We abandoned the gold, the tools, our fortunes, all of it. We scrambled for the tunnel, our boots sliding on the heaving, fleshy floor. The sound behind us was a symphony from hell. The wet, dragging scrape of the entity pulling itself free, punctuated by a high-frequency, chittering shriek that felt like a drill boring into the skull. The tunnel entrance was 50 feet away. We were so close. Then the ceiling gave way in a shower of rock, crashing down and separating us. I was thrown forward, Silas knocked back. I twisted, my headlamp beam cutting through the dust cloud. Silas was on the floor, his leg crushed under a massive boulder. His own light was trained on the thing that was now crawling deliberately towards him. "Elias, for God's sake, help me!" he screamed. I started back, but then I saw the creature clearly in his beam. A central mass was pulling itself up from the cavern floor, a vaguely humanoid torso of shimmering gold and raw earth. It had no face, just a smooth expanse of metal that seemed to drink the light. It was reaching for him, its form twisting with an alien hunger. I could see the wounds our picks had gouged in its body. Another tremor shook the earth, and the tunnel entrance began to buckle and collapse. It was a choice that took a fraction of a second, but will last an eternity. "Silas, I'm sorry." I shrieked, and I turned and sprinted into the imploding passage. His final scream was not of pain. It was a sound of pure, awful, mind-breaking realization, cut short by a final, wet crunch. I didn't look back. I just ran, propelled by shame and adrenaline as the entire tunnel collapsed behind me. The chittering screech of the creature echoing through the very rock, sounding impossibly close, as if it were chasing me through the stone itself. Listen to my voice. Remember my story. If you ever feel that pull toward the dark places of the world, the call of some forgotten treasure, remember what we found. Remember that some things are buried for a reason. I don't know how, but I made it out. I burst from the fissure into the blinding sun as the whole cliff face behind me groaned and gave way, sealing the cave as if it had never been. There was no sign of Silas, no trace of the gold. I've been wandering since. This recording is the only proof it ever happened. The gold fever is gone. In its place is a cold, gnawing terror that has settled in my bones. Because sometimes, at night, when the desert is perfectly still, I can feel it. A low, faint vibration rising from the ground beneath me. A familiar, rhythmic pulse. I didn't kill it. I just wounded it. I woke it up. And I know, with a certainty that freezes my very soul, that the earth remembers. And it's waiting.